Today I went to see Babylon at the cinema and it actually broke a new record for the amount of people to leave a cinema screening before the end of the film. I, however, somehow watched through the entirety of this 3 hour and 9 minute mess, and I thought to myself I could do a YouTube short, but I need more time. I need enough time to really get all my thoughts about this thing out, so let's go the whole 9 yards and do a video. Now, for those who've yet to see Babylon, I'd say the issues I have with it, I can't really recommend the cinema viewing, but maybe check it out at home, but give yourself enough time as well, because it's 3 hours long and you don't want to be half asleep when you press play. As stated in the title, I do think this film is a mess, but mess doesn't always translate to bad. Just look at Anita Mess, for example. But with this film, there are key components which I think really make this film a failure. And we're going to get into that right now in the spoilers section, so if you don't wish to see any, that is your warning. In the opening minutes of this film, there's an elephant being transported to a party. The driver gets out and the elephant craps all over him, as well as the camera lens as well, so we get it all nice in our face. Funnily enough, that's not the worst thing I've seen an elephant do at the cinema, as a few years back I did watch The Brothers Grimsby and I got scarred for life.
That's very wet, isn't it?
It is.
Anyway, back to Babylon, and we get to the party now and we see a man lying on the floor and he's getting peed on by his female friend. As the camera pans around, there's loads of people having sex, doing drugs like cocaine, and there's even a penis pogo stick which ejaculates as well. So yeah, it's really painting a lovely picture of 1926 Los Angeles.
Give your meat a good old rub.
One of the transporters of the elephant, Manny, meets up with Nellie, who's played by Margot Robbie, and they do cocaine together. Also arriving at the party is troubled film star Jack Conrad, who's played by Brad Pitt. And these three characters are our main players in this film, and they're all at different stages of their film careers. So like I just said with Jack Conrad, he's someone who's been around a bit and now he's struggling with drink. Then we've got Nellie, who's an up and coming ambitious young actress, but she has her own troubles with drugs. And then we have Manny, who's a Mexican immigrant still trying to find his way into the industry. There are also a couple of other characters who attend the party who come into the film more a bit later, like lesbian cabaret singer Lady Faye and also African American jazz trumpeter Sydney Palmer. Now this party does go on for quite some time. Margot Robbie's doing a lot of dancing. They even bring in the elephant at one point as well to try and take attention away as they escort out one of the young actresses who's overdosed on drugs. And as the film was still in its early stages, I was just taking it all in, but at the same time I was thinking, like, what have I seen here? I've seen poo, pee and flamboyance.
Oh, I say, what must you think of me racing around the house in my briefs like we're at some sort of Roman orgy?
Anyway, with the party now over and a new day ahead, Manny helps bring back Jack to his home after getting pretty drunk the night before, and Jack offers him a role on his film set. And at this point of the film, it splits into two, so we follow Nellie as she's recording a scene for her film, which is a much smaller film compared to Jack's, where we have a much grander scale. We have, soldiers on the battlefield and that sort of thing, and then we have Manny going off to try and get a new camera in time before nightfall so they can get that last shot in as well. Now this part of the movie did score some brownie points for me because at one point they did play Night on Bald Mountain, which is a fantastic piece of music, so yeah, well done to the movie for that. And I must say the music throughout the film is pretty good. Justin Hurwitz should be quite proud of the job he's done. The costumes and the production design, all that sort of thing, that's all to a very good standard as well. It's when we get to the meat and bones of this film, it's where it all starts to fall apart. Manny and Nellie start to climb through the ranks, with Manny taking up higher up jobs in the movie studios, and Nellie becoming an it girl. And for those who might not know the term it girl, it means an attractive young woman who is perceived to have both sex appeal and a personality that is especially engaging. After a couple of montages, we probably get the funniest portion of the film, which involves Nellie trying to perform a scene, but it just keeps going wrong. They have to do multiple takes, whether that be due to someone sneezing or due to the sound. But around this time of the film, it's where you can really see that Babylon lacks focus. Because you have these big drawn out scenes which, they might work as a standalone, but when they're as part of a film, they don't connect well at all. And it's a film which continues to add new elements before it nails down the ones it's already playing with, so it's a constant juggling act. And with that in mind, and now nearly halfway through the film, it became clear that this movie can't handle these three main characters. With Jack, he's struggling and going through different relationships, but it's all very base level, and the same applies to Nellie and her drug problem as well, and her relationship with her parents, with her father being her manager, and we have that one scene where she goes to visit her institutionalized mother as well. So, you really want a bit more there. And then we have Manny, who's such a passive character. Like, I get his basic role of a character is to be taken into the world he loves and see the true nature of it, but I just wanted more. As we move into the second half of the film, we have another party scene, with this one involving a dance between Nelly and Lady Faye. We also have Nelly overhearing some rather rude comments about her acting and her accent, and then we also have Nelly egg on her father to fight a snake, a rattlesnake, and in the end Nelly fights said snake and gets bitten on the neck. Faye goes over to slice up the snake, and then she sucks out the venom from Nelly's neck and they passionately kiss. Now my first thought about this scene is that the snake is a representation of Hollywood with poisoning Nelly, and her only escape is with Lady Faye. And as we discover not long after, Manny is told to fire Faye due to her perceived lesbian affair with Nelly. And I think this would have worked better if, one, we had more time with this relationship, and secondly, if there was actually a more natural lead up to this symbolism, because it did feel like this whole, fighting a snake thing was just sort of plucked from the air. And also in the scene of the snake, we see Jack looking around and seeing that this is the new age of cinema, and as he tries to approach it, he gets run over. And when it rains, it pours, as in the next scene, Jack finds out that his longtime friend and producer, George Munn, has committed suicide. So we do get some foreshadowing for Jack there, as he comes to the realization that his star is fading. What comes after this is one of my favourite scenes from the film, and this involves Sidney Palmer. Just as things are looking up for him, he gets asked by Manny to use makeup to darken his skin, and with that, his facial expression tells you all you need to know. And with this character, I wish we got more from him, just like Lady Faye. Next up, we have yet another party scene, but this one's different. This one's an upper class party, and we have Nelly there trying to revamp her image thanks to the help from Manny and the journalist called Eleanor. And this is like a last chance sort of thing for Nelly. You either party with the snobs or you look for new jobs. That's that sort of thing. It doesn't take her long to crack, and she makes a scene and tells him exactly how it is, and even vomits on the host. After this all goes down, we get a conversation between Jack and Eleanor explains why his popularity is decreasing. And this was a welcome breather really for the film, and something we need a lot more of. Back to Nelly, and she's been doing quite a lot of gambling off screen and has built up a debt of $85,000. She tells Manny she's being threatened by gangster James McKay, who's played by Tobey Maguire. Manny is able to secure some funds from an actor called The Count, and both of them go to meet up with James McKay. And this whole portion of the film is pretty odd, so I've sort of just got to explain it as we go. Like, they get there and there's a guard who's constantly yobbing on the floor, then they go up and meet James McKay, and he's like a Wish version of the Joker. Manny then finds out that the money is actually prop money, so he's on edge about that. They then go off to a place where there's debauchery everywhere they look. Like, there's even levels of freakiness with this place. Like level 3, there's an alligator tied up and there's a guy eating rats. Like, this is the sort of thing we're dealing with here, Like, then James McKay wants to throw money at the guy, but he finds out by the water that it smudges and that it's fake money, and then we have Manny and the Count run for their lives. And so Manny convinces Nelly to flee to Mexico with him, but on the way there, Manny stops off at the Count's place, and one of James McKay's hitmen tracks them down, and he kills the Count as well as the Count's roommate, who was just sat there eating his cereal, unfortunately for him, but he does leave Manny alive. But he tells him he's only going to spare his life if he leaves Los Angeles, but at the same time I'm still not really sure why he spared his life at all anyway. Nelly dances off into the night, and it's later revealed in the film via a newspaper that she was found dead in her hotel room at the age of 34. In terms of Jack, he's at a hotel and he runs into Faye. Faye lets him know that she's going to Europe. They're cementing there the life that Nelly could have had would have been away from Hollywood. Jack then goes upstairs to his hotel room and shoots himself in the head. We then jump forward to 1952 to discover that Manny has a wife and a daughter, and then we see him go to the cinema alone and watch Singing in the Rain, and he gets quite emotional watching this film. And the reason behind that is because in Singing in the Rain it shows that transition from silence to talkies, and in the first half of Babylon we see that take place and Manny be involved within that. We then get a montage which showcases how cinema has changed throughout the decades, with films like Terminator 2 and Avatar being shown off there, but I think this was all a bit too much. At this point of the film I was like, just end it now, just end it now, we get the point. I think this is way too much. This is like overkill of your point. And this whole ending did feel like quite a scramble just to show the audience exactly what this film's about, not really trusting that the film has done enough to show that within itself. Just by going through this movie like I have, it shows that there is a great film in here somewhere, but it's just incredibly bogged down. And I think with the ideas on show here, it's more like they've been thrown at a wall than they have been knitted together. Because there are some entertaining set pieces in this film, like the Hello College one I was talking about earlier. And there's some funny little lines in there as well when the guys go nuts to make sure they get that shot before the sun goes down. And also there's, you know, Margot Robbie has a few little lines like, you know, cocaine up my pussy sort of thing. And there was one meta joke as well when they're discussing about sound in cinema and the guys having a massive crap in the toilet, you know. And as I discussed earlier, this is a technically good film, and it's a sort of film I want to see more of in Hollywood because, you know, it's not on a green screen and it's actually, you know, practical effects, and it's just nice to see sometimes real people with a real background. In regards to the acting, no one really stands out too much here. It was my first time seeing Diego Calva, who played Manny, and I thought he was pretty good. Likewise with Brad Pitt in his role. With Margot Robbie, she plays that same sort of Wolf of Wall Street, you know, Harley Quinn type of role again, and she plays it really well. But it'd be nice to maybe see her do something a bit different in the future. But she had some good dance scenes, and she had to wear some quite revealing outfits in this film, but she had a lot of fun with it.
We were also desensitized to nudity very quickly, that it in that scene, there's literally like orgies happening behind us while people are talking. I mean, there's so...
Considering director Damien Chazelle has done films like Whiplash, which I really enjoyed, and La La Land, which I thought was good as well, this film comes as quite a disappointment. It's clear to see the passions he has, but sometimes it does fall in that line of being a bit self-indulgent. Damien Chazelle says he's happy to see this film get good and bad reviews because he wants this film to ruffle some feathers, and I completely agree with that. It's great to have a film where you can discuss it with people, and, you know, films don't have to be always so black and white. But sometimes there is a unanimous feeling about a movie or a TV show, like Velma for example, and if you want to see our review on that, it's on screen right now.